My name is Leigh Fisher, and I have created an exhibition that's currently at Centrale entitled Les Aquanautes, or the Aquanauts. The show is based on a historical event that I found out about that occurred in 1970, in which 5 female ocean researchers were put at the bottom of the ocean to live together for 2 weeks. And I was intrigued and fascinated by the story and by the fact that it had been forgotten, and I wanted to learn more. So I looked for documentary research, evidence, academic papers, footage, photographs, and from that research in archives, from naval military archives and elsewhere on the internet, I gathered materials and I started to play with them. And I was fascinated by not only the experience of these female researchers in the ocean, living together on the bottom of the sea, but also the effect that the ocean had on them. Overall, what I'm looking at criticizing is the kind of hubris and overconfidence that they had at this period towards nature and the ocean. And their plan was to research how people would react to living in an artificial oxygen environment on the ocean floor in order to put people in space and to have orbiting space stations. And so they used this kind of research towards those ends to prepare for space exploration, but particularly they were preparing to exploit the natural resources of the ocean. And so they were interested in how they could prepare work teams to do mining, to do exploitation, to kind of take control of the material riches of the ocean. And so I was fascinated by this period of time and what it meant in a kind of crossing between the overconfidence of scientific and industrial military complex projects, and at the same time the burgeoning second wave feminist ascendance of women who were determined to do jobs and take on roles that were not available to them, and to take on brave, courageous, untraditional tasks in order to pursue what they were fascinated by. I thought that this exhibition worked with the mandate of La Centrale, given that the interests of the show and of the project were to not only look at the experience of these women and their research project, but also to do a kind of counter-history, given that these women to me represent part of what was so extraordinary about second wave feminism, where women with courage and nerve and brilliance went ahead and did things that there was no place in society for them to do. And in this case, these scientists found a place in this research project, and I feel that they've been forgotten and their courage needs to be recognized. At the same time, it's ambiguous, or it's paradoxical for me, because the project overall, I feel, funded as it was by the military-industrial complex of the late 60s, early 70s of the United States, has a lot of problematic aspects to it and represents a real overconfidence and hubris of the 20th century attitude towards nature and domination of the ocean. So those two aspects of the show come out in the films, I think. But I did try and keep a place for the idealism of these women and of admiration and respect for them, despite the fact that they, on some level, are complicit in a project that I'm criticizing.